Yeah, hi. Good morning, good afternoon. That's my usual way of greeting you all of you nowadays. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on when you're switching on your laptop, when you're looking at this and all that. We are going to be talking about a topic that's not normally spoken about in universities or corporates and all that, because it's a topic that everybody assumes that everyone knows. But uh, why Colonel Jai Kumar on my left and Professor Shiva on my right, or the two of us, the three of us decided that this this topic is going to be relevant is simply because nobody speaks about it, and at the same time we are constantly judged by it. We are constantly um, we do it all the time, right? We, in the sense, when I every one of us, when we get on the day we are getting married, we'll try to look our personal best. Why is that? Why is that particular day it's so important to look very good? So personal grooming is not just looking good. Personal grooming has several aspects to it. But today we're talking about personal grooming, which is essentially um, appearance. But appearance, of course, comes from within the mind. How I want to appear is a mental thing. So I'm going to start with asking Colonel Jayakumar and Professor Shiva what, according to them, is personal grooming, and then we'll go on to asking questions, and hopefully the questions will lead to some answers. But more importantly, the three of us are only simply facilitating this. It's you, every one of yours responsibility to actually find out what personal grooming is, how do you want to deal with it, what do you think of it, what is it that you want to change about yourself or not, and things like that. So the topic is for you, it's not for us. Okay, I'll start with you, Colonel Jaikumar.
Yeah.
The question is, personal grooming has several connotations. What is, in your mind, a very quick definition of personal grooming?
Thank you, Shiva. Thank you. So, what I feel is there are several dimensions of this particular topic, personal grooming, as brought out by you. It is quite elaborate. Before getting into this professional part of grooming, which is probably what is the core of our entire project here, let me take up this grooming aspect. Every child is groomed by the parents. This is something that just came up in my, I was just thinking. So, as a parent, we are grooming our child. So, when I say grooming the child, it's not just the physical part, how appearance, it is also from how you feel, the feeling portion also, in terms of internalizing a few aspects. So, that's the, I'll not get into the details of what happens. A small baby, the grandmother does all that oil bath and pulls the legs and hands so that when the child walks as it grows, there is a synchronization when they walk. You cannot have left foot and left arm together. It has to be alternating. All these things are a few things which we want in the child. That is the physical dimension. Uh, but that comes up. That comes on its own. And let me straight away get down to this professional aspect of personal grooming. When we look around the surroundings, the environment, in terms of our peer group, in terms of our seniors, we somehow have a picture of people. Say I mention a name, you will immediately, the picture will come to you first, the way he dresses himself up, the way he appears in front of the people in public, the way he smiles or the way he speaks to people, behaves, interacts, and so on and so forth. Probably we can also call it a part of our social adjustment, adjusting oneself to the environment in a manner that is socially approved and responsible to everything around us, whether it is men, women, or material. I think I'll stop it here as far as the defining part is concerned and go and look at other aspects as we proceed.
Sure. Thanks, Colonel. And yeah, Shiva and I know each other for quite some time, so I'm not going to keep addressing him as professor, though it is part of the personal grooming to address someone by title. But then I'm his friend now, so he'll be upset if I say professor. So, Shiva, what, according to you, is personal grooming?
Uh, Thanks to both of you. You've mentioned most of what it is to say personal grooming. To me, grooming means something which has a connection to growth or acceptability, whether it is to yourself or the others. So it starts from appearance, as you already pointed out, mannerisms, right? The way you treat people, the way you treat yourself, all these, like what Shiva said, when there is an occasion like marriage or whatever, you dress up yourself because you want to now rise up to that occasion and tell people that you are celebrating it. So there are occasions where, for example, if you go to let's say, a death, somebody who has passed away and you're going there, your mannerisms will be very different compared to going for a reception or a party, right? So there is this accommodation of all these changes, right? For people to be able to accept you and balance yourself with respect to your values. Okay. There may be some values that you don't have to compromise. At the same time, definitely uh, respect the other people's viewpoints, their way of looking at things, etc. So there's a lot of other things also get connected to this. For example, culture also comes into picture here, right? Shiva always talks about this. Different cultures have different ways of expressing something, right? But one thing is very clear: when you have a smile, that's very common to all the culture. I don't know about animals, but definitely all the human cultures.
That is infectious.
That is infectious. So
Very good.
that's to me what is personal grooming.
Nice. Good perspective. So, I'm just trying to add something and come back to the questions. Again, both Shiva and Jayakumar have covered most of it. Um, what is also one can include is the experience one has. For me, the experience with personal grooming was, of course, as pointed out by Shiva, smiling was important because I used to work in a hotel, and in the hotel, the smile was the most important thing that you could offer to a guest, in spite of whatever was going through in your mind. So we are learning that personal grooming is something that doesn't normally align with your mood inside, but you have to be able to get over that mood and still behave in a different way. I also think personal grooming has a lot to do with empathy, because you think of the other person, if you think of how the other person will feel if you do not behave in the way that you are it's the right way to behave. Like, for instance, cross culture, if I continue to maintain the behavior that I employ in my culture in a different culture, then it means I'm not empathetic to the other culture. So lots and lots of things will come out in the next 20-25 minutes. So, personal grooming, what we will do now is go straight to questions from each of us. Has been in a particular profession over a long period of time. So, what I'll do now is I'll ask Shiva and Jayakumar about personal grooming in their work area, and ask them to give specific instances of one or two experiences where they either dealt with personal grooming at a personal level or in a different level. For a change, I'm going to start with Shiva. So, Shiva, you've been in the teaching profession for almost 35 years, right? You've been on campus. You have been an engineering student, and then you did your masters, and you worked in L&T for some time, and then you did your doctorate, and then you went to the US, you met different cultures, you taught in the US, you have come back to the campus now, almost 35 years of teaching. I can't imagine anyone else other than you talking about personal grooming in the context of a campus, in the context of teaching, in the context of students. So, if you can tell the audience what is your personal experience, give us one or two experiences which every one of us can relate to in the context of personal grooming.
So, Shiva, thanks for asking the question. Now, there are many things that appear in my mind. Let me start with something. For example, if a person visits my office, right, the first thing that I would do is to greet the person. I've learned that from Colonel Jai Kumar, that you start with saying good morning and comfort them, basically get them to sit, right, and listen, right. So, as if you're now uh, very eager to find out what it would be that you can be of help to the other. Right? That is one thing. When it comes to classrooms, now in the classroom, when I enter the classroom, the eye contact with every student, right, gives an idea that the teacher is sort of welcoming of my presence over there. So the student feels that when you enter. Of course, I have to be clad properly, right? I can't be like a student wearing shorts and all this. I need to go in a particular dress so that they respect me as somebody who is going to deliver for them something useful. It is also personal grooming, in my opinion, to pause at various stages and ask for a feedback, whether people have understood, students are having certain doubts that they can ask, right. This is also a part of personal grooming, to understand, as Shiva pointed out, there should be that empathy while teaching also, right. Even outside, when you go, students look at you as a teacher, right, and therefore your appearance, your mannerisms also play a huge role, right. To me, I mean, every time a student talks about me, the first thing that appears in his or her mind is that I smile. Right? That helps them sort of being comfortable talking to the other person. Right? There are a lot more to say, but I'll
Just consolidating what Shiva was saying, what we heard from him was empathy. The word, let me look at the key words that he spoke about. Empathy was a key word, which means that you feel for the other person, which is why personal grooming is important. He also was caring as to how people would perceive him. Therefore, he used the word, he used the sentence, if you go and ask them what would they think of me, and he said they will always say I had a smile, which means both what others thought of him as well as his smile is important to him. He also said to us that he would not he would follow certain rules of codes of dress. Like he said, he doesn't come in shorts to class because he says that there is a particular dress code to him. He has defined his own code, but he doesn't want to go to the extreme and go to class in shorts and all that. So a lot of empathy from what he is saying, a lot of caring about what students want from him, a lot of caring about how he should be perceived, how he should behave. So we found a lot of work that's going on in his mind about also about this thing about making visitors comfortable. And one of the things I learned right now from him is it's so important to let someone be comfortable rather than not be comfortable. Very nice, especially coming from a professor, a student, professor at IIT Madras. I think these were very valuable lessons. Coming back to Jayakumar, I know that personal grooming and the army almost go hand in hand. When we were in HAL, Hindustan Aeronautics Limited, we learned no, in Nasik. So my father used to come back every day with one or two rules. One day, what happened was my father and my mother were going in a car, were about to get into a car. The manager was driving. So what happened? The manager was about to drive and he opened the door. My father got and sat in the front seat and my mother got into the back seat. So this man refused to drive. He said, Mr. Balakrishnan, get down. He said, what? I am not your driver. Your wife should sit in front. You should sit behind. So my father came back home and he told us all this. He said, next time you must be, I learned a lot of these things from Hindustan Aeronautics Limited. So I'm sure the army is full of such experiences. Let us know one or two experiences from the army about personal grooming.
Thank you. Thank you, Shiva. So I can keep on talking because like what Shiva has mentioned just now, these are, you may call it grooming, you may call it certain rules, certain guidelines, etiquettes or manners, and we can call it anything. But there are a set of guidelines which we as soldiers follow, and then that remains with us for life. But it does not really mean it is only the armed forces that are supposed to be like that. So there I would like to differ with you, because it's equally applicable to any walk of life of any age group. As far as the armed forces is concerned, why armed forces? I talk of take your TCS or take L&T or any company, MNC for example. There is an induction program that is conducted by all these corporations. The aim of all these induction programs, as is the case with the armed forces, is to groom the employees, to groom the employees in order to get everybody acting in a particular manner and following a particular set of rules or customs or system, anything that you may want to call it. This is like, you see this, there is a Doha. That Doha says, this Doha is primarily for teacher. Professor will be happy here to hear this. Guru Kumhar, Shishya Kumbh hai. Guru Kumhar, Shishya Kumbh hai. Gadi gadi kadai khot. Gadi gadi kadai khot. Antar bah sahar dai. Bahar bahe chot. I must explain what it is.
You must.
I can make out.
I understood only the first one, Guru, and nothing else.
I can make out. Yeah. So
you could have made it simpler for us.
I think so is the case with, I think, half the people there looking at us. Guru, Kumhar is potter. So, so the first line is, Guru is a potter who makes pot, and you see the raw material for pot comes from a variety of places. Some are very nice, good river side sand. Some are totally muck where you find all sorts of filth and twigs and stones and pebbles. Here there are leaves and dry leaves. All these things, these fellow comes and puts it in that wheel. No, before he brings it here, he cleans it, he mends it, or whatever you call that. What is happening? He is grooming there, because there is a product that he is supposed to be making, pot. Guru Kumhar, Shishya Kumbh hai. When that fellow cleans up everything, puts it in that thing and starts wheeling, there is a shape he is giving to the pot. When he is doing this, sir, I am telling you, the kind of focus that man will be having on every single pot is supposed to be totally there. It's like that sun rays passing, put it on that paper and it burns, like that. He doesn't want the pot to go haywire anywhere. Guru Kumhar, Shishya Kumbh hai. Gadi gadi means every time. Gadi gadi is every time. Kadai, remove or point out. Gadi gadi, kadai, khot. Khot means weakness, drawbacks. So what does this Guru do is, Gadi, every time he goes to the students, say something is wrong, he points them out. Gadi, kade kot. Guru Kumar, Shisha Kumbh hai, gadi, kade kot. Now, when this fellow is beating the pot all around, the person passing by, he thinks, yaar, what kind of a cruel fellow this man is. He is beating this pot, the clay, it's not yet a pot, the clay cannot even speak, such weak being. So, anyone who passes by, he does not know what is happening. He will be thinking this man is a very cruel fellow. Gadi kade kot. But the fellow who is passing by does not know. Antara bah saharadai bahar bahe chot means from the outside you are hitting the pot. That's what the world is looking at, the teacher. Bahar bahe chot, but actually what is happening is the teacher knows how much should be the intensity, and to hold that intensity, he has the other hand inside the pot. This the world does not know. The teacher knows. Grooming, whether it is in any of the multinational corporation or in any of the armed forces outfit, is all about making the spot out of the employee who come in. And we as soldiers come from a variety of places. We come from a variety of backgrounds. We come from, I don't know, every sample you will get there when you put these fellows in front of the battalion, sir. I'll cut it down. I'll just tell two things which comes to me instantly. 3R: the right time, right place, and right dress. Right dress. When you spoke of Pradeep and TCS when we were chatting some time ago, I remembered right dress. When the professor was talking about the classroom and putting people at ease, I was thinking of right time and right place. If these three are time, dress and place are taken care of by people in any profession, I think half the job is done. Yeah. Remainder job is knowledge of this thing. The remainder job is with ABC. Whatever you do after the remainder, it should be accurate, it should be brief, and it should be clear. You be there at the right time and place, and in all your dealings in the company, you just be accurate, brief, and clear. I think you are professionally growing well.
Yeah, the right time is another thing that is very important for grooming. The reason why I'm saying this is, if you are late to some meeting, even class, you are actually delaying every one of those people who have already arrived, their time. You are wasting their time.
Not respecting their
time. So in that sense, punctuality has a value.
I fully agree.
And that's one of the important elements of personal
grooming. Yeah.
So,
and if you are late, you need to be sensitive to express that I am late because I was held up here. I'm very sorry. So the word sorry or excuse me is a very important message you pass on to them, saying that yes, I feel what you've gone through so far for the time
That's large-heartedness. Very few do that.
Yes.
So coming back to what Jayakumar was talking about, the potter, and very very powerful message, and also the 3 R's: right place, right time, and right dress. I think all of you are getting an idea as to what personal grooming is. We heard the campus story, we heard the army story, which is of course, like he said, common to all of us. Very often you may not have a teacher, and so therefore there will be a lot of situations in your life where you don't have a teacher, you don't know, right? You just been thrown into a particular situation. For instance, let's assume you're thrown into a hotel job. Now, there's no teacher there. What do? You won't go and say, no, I won't start work unless someone teaches me because I heard that I should be shaped. Right? So you'll have to, so at that point of time, what you ask yourself is, what we're talking about is common sense. Now, what is commonsensical about behavior in a hotel? Someone comes, can you shout at him? You can't. If he shouts at you, can he shout back? You can't. So therefore, the rules of the hotel, the rules of your work, the rules of your profession dictate certain behaviors, which is what all of you will do. But you will learn, you will make mistakes. None of us, the three of us have made a lot of mistakes. I don't know about the two of you, but I have made a lot of mistakes, right? Lot of mistakes. I still remember the first day I went to the Taj. I was working in the Taj for some time. The first day I went to the Taj, first day, my first job, I was 19 years old. I had got this job with great effort, and I was so proud of having got the job. I was supposed to be doing night duty, which meant that I have to go at 9 o'clock in the night to the hotel, come back at 7 o'clock in the morning. I can't sleep. But I took up the job anyway because of different circumstances. And I'm standing there, my first day in the job, I've got this big coat, I put the buttons on, very nice white coat. I'm standing behind the counter, and the manager walks in around 9:15 and he says, who are you? I said, sir, I've just joined today. My name is Shiva, very proudly. He says, get out. I said, what? He says, get out from the counter. I said, why? So my friend is saying, don't argue, don't argue. I said, sorry, sir. Go and have a shave, he said. I said, I had a shave. He said, don't argue, just go and have a shave. Then I went to Nungambakam High Road looking for a barber. There was one barber just closing the shop. I said, boss, please give me a shave. He said, Unnume sir, what do I shave? He said, illa, just on the smell or no soap. I want the soap smell. I came back. The manager looked at me. He says, go back to work. So I went back to work. Third day, at 3 o'clock in the morning, I'm standing there. I've just learned not to sleep at night. I'm standing there groggily. Same manager. He comes and says, you, like that. I said, yes. He says, please put on your buttons. One button, that big collar, this button was off. I said, 3 o'clock, I don't care. This is not your house. Put on your buttons. Then I put the buttons on. Then after a week, he called me. He says, do you want to leave the hotel or you want to stay? I said, I want to stay. But I almost wanted to leave. He said, see, I told you, I know I was being harsh, but you have learned a big lesson. Because the first person that sees you is the guest. He doesn't see the managing director of the hotel. He doesn't see anyone in the hotel. He sees you as the receptionist. And he's coming from Malaysia and US and all. He's very tired. He's jet lagged. All he wants to do is see a pleasant person. If you haven't shaved, it means that you're not really caring for him, right? If you don't smile, and that's what we want you to do. You represent this hotel. We have built this hotel with great love and we've given it to you. You take care of this hotel.
Excellent, excellent.
Then I learned that every profession has its own rules. So you have to decide now what are the rules that the profession requires rather than what we are telling you. So I thought I'll just, sum it up like that.
Like what he said, right place
Yeah.
comes into picture here. Because if you are a receptionist in a hotel, that you have to suit that place.
Hospitality industry in particular, sir. I know we all would be having friends, but I know the life of a hotelier is very demanding. There is no excuse that one can give to anybody at all. You have to deliver. You have to deliver at all costs. There is no to a customer there.
Completely. And you are leaving the hotel at 6:30, Colonel, and there's a guest walking in at 6:30 and he has to check in. You can't say my duty is over.
Exactly.
You have to check him in, it takes 1 hour. You leave the hotel at 7:30.
Right. So, time also you need to be.
I know of Professor Siva. At midnight, I have seen him talking to two youngsters in the bus stand here, where it is that Gajendra Circle. Because he was the chief advisor of Mitra, he got a call at 12:30 at night. Is it some telephone call?
Emotionally, they were disturbed. So, I had to listen to what that student was saying.
At 12 o'clock, he goes there, sits down, and then that boy, I think he slept in your home that night or something. He was so disturbed. So all this I feel is part of grooming.
So coming back to different perceptions. Um, One of the questions that I want to ask both of you before we close this session is what is how do you cultivate the mindset for grooming, right? What, for instance, the examples from the campus, from the army, from the hotel. How do you cultivate the mindset for grooming? Because you're going to be moving from place to place, you're going to be switching jobs, you're going to be going from country to country, you're going to be, um, you know, you're going to even visit, like you were saying, you're going to visit a funeral, you're going to visit a marriage, you're going to, so constantly forces are pulling at you, right? Now, how do you counteract these forces and behave from a mental point of view? What does the mind tell you to do? How, just tell me the mental aspect of grooming. We'll start with Shiva.
Okay. So before I start on the other aspect, one is grooming ourselves, the other is grooming others. I remember going to a doctor's clinic, and usually if it is a doctor's clinic, you need to wait for a long time. Right? That's given. So with my kids, and for some time we played, but after that I had to do something. I was getting bored, so I just stepped outside and I found that the footwear was just sprayed around. Right? To me, it didn't feel good. There has to be some order to that. So I said, okay, I decided, okay, let me put them in order. Right? So I put them in order and went back and sat, waited for the doctor, finished the doctor's appointment, came out amazingly. All the others who entered the clinic had put it in order.
So nice.
So I think, in a way, they call this a satsang. I think it is also important for a person to be in a place where such a grooming occurs, like military, for example. I don't want to use this word being schooled, but schooling is also another way by which you groom yourself. So you also learn from others. When you go with your, let's say, mom and dad for a funeral, you look at them and find out how they are behaving, how they are addressing people, how they are inquiring with the person who lost, uh, who were near or dear. So all these actually are very important. Sometimes it does happen subconsciously, but many times it may be a good idea to reflect and find out what should be done, what should not be done. Right? You can also have your own values, your own ways, your own methods of doing things, as long as it fits into whatever you've seen that happens in different places, as you said, different times. What was the third one?
Dress. Time and dress.
Dress. Yeah. See, the dress that you wear also. Yeah, you can't be going to a temple with a dress which is very different than all the others who are wearing over there. If you intend doing that, it's a different story. But in general, as I initially pointed out, for comforting the others, also don't look being somebody who is completely apart from others, aloof from others, or to blend with others, you need to have an appearance that helps such a blending.
Very social norms, that is.
Social norms.
Yeah.
It is also to do with elders, youngsters, ladies, right? The way that you present yourself, the way that you have interaction with them changes with uh, whoever it is that you. Of course, professionally also, your boss, your subordinates, all those also matter.
Yeah. So what we are learning from you is personal grooming begets personal grooming. It's a ripple effect, right? So one person behaves in a particular very powerful, very nice way, and the other person looks at that and copies it. So can you be a role model, or can you have a role model who you want to follow is one very powerful way of expressing that. The other, of course, is how you behave in front of different sets of people, how you behave in front of a lady, how you behave in front of your father, an elderly person, and all that. So these things, all of you will learn as you go along. But it's important that you know that behaviors have to change. So coming back to you, um, Colonel Jai Kumar, um, the mental aspect of personal grooming is what we want to know.
Mentor.
The mental aspect, in a
Mental.
sense, how do I prepare myself mentally to change my behavior, like Shiva was saying, right? It's so easy to go into a funeral and not behave appropriately. How do you change that? Quickly we change, right? We sit in a restaurant, we're having fun, and suddenly we go to a funeral, and at that time we have completely changed. What is it? What is it mentally that makes you change from laughing and dancing around in a restaurant? In the next 10 minutes, you are at someone's funeral, you're very somber, you're very mournful, you employ a completely different behavior. So there must be something happening in the mind.
I will take the cue of your statement that you made, that is learning from the peer group. Whether you know the job or not, you are supposed to be doing the job. So you can't say, I don't know this, therefore I can't do this. So the first thing is the acceptance that we need to learn what to do and how to do in all kinds of occasions that we come across in life. So the first thing, as far as the mental dimension that you were now asking, is the hunger, to the yearning to learn about grooming, yearning to learn about the customs and traditions, yearning to learn about the mannerisms, whether it is table manner. The table manner that you mentioned, use of fork and spoon itself is a big lesson by itself. There are a variety of forks, there are a variety of spoons, there are a variety of plates, there are a variety of glasses, and there are a variety of service that a waiter is supposed to do. It could be a right-handed service or a left-handed service or a combination of service. And the goblet that you have for red wine is different, the white wine is different, or the hard liquor is different. So there is so much to learn. There is the whole world is there for learning at all ages. I don't think even at this stage I know all that I have to in terms of behavior in a particular place. The first book that I read with respect to grooming was, I think, sometimes in the 70s. The name of the book, uh, lest we stumble or lest we fall, something like that. Very small, thin book. It is part of those self-improvement series. There were 13 books, right from that, making friends and winning people, right. I'm okay, you're okay, yeah. All those series, 13 books were there. One of them is Lest We Stumble. Of that book, the point that I very clearly, distinctly remember is the handshake. They say when you shake hands with people, you should not be gripping it so much that that fellow starts doing this. That's not shaking hand. You also should not be shaking hand as if you are a sick fellow not interested in shaking hand. That warmth should be felt in shaking hand. This I felt I remember having read in that book.
Actually, Colonel, coming to that point, for different people, you do it differently, right?
Exactly.
One is a confident shake.
Yeah.
If it is a lady, you do differently. If it is a kid, you do differently. If it is an old person, you do differently.
Yes.
So it conveys the respect that we give.
About shaving that you said, you will find people. I know I am talking only about the armed forces. We have at least in a week we will have 2 or 3 dinners, evening get-togethers. So in fact, almost every day you will say we have something. People will be thinking that we are having a ball, enjoying with a glass of whiskey or wine and dancing with people around with nice music and all. It's not so. It is not so. Because I am supposed to be behaving in a particular manner. You will find I have shaved at 4:30 in the morning to go for my PT first period at 5:30. I have to be there in the PT ground, and in the evening 7 o'clock is my mess dinner, where there is some reception party or somebody newlywed family is coming and all. For that evening, 7:30 or 8 o'clock, I have to shave again.
My God. Twice you shave.
Yeah, the question is not whether you shave. The question is how people see you unshaven.
How
So,
people look at
if my hair grows 5 times very long, I have to shave 5 times a day. The hair cannot be seen. Yeah.
Hair is not to be seen.
Yeah.
Correct.
But I know people who do this before a party. They will shave at 7 o'clock in the evening. Next day morning 4:30 he is again shaving. The whole life he probably spent shaving. So
You know, to provide an appearance, people spend a lot of time.
beauty industry is $1 trillion. I don't know how to what to mention. You can tell that. What is it? Very big money. $1 billion industry. Beauty industry is that, and the hotel food industry is the
Because
second.
it's presentability.
Therefore, grooming comes there. Let's get back to our audience here. What we need is, from the bottom till the top, you should be presentable. That is all. How you make yourself presentable, you have to take it. What kind of a shirt, what color of the shirt goes with an official dress, what kind of a trouser you should wear, what should be the length of your sleeve. Everything is there as far as that professional. When you get into total ethics of profession, the sense in terms of dressing, what kind of shoe, is it supposed to have this cut here, or it should be without a cut there, or it should be just that sneakers
Not
down
only
below.
appearance but also functional.
Every aspect of your dressing is important, and we can only touch upon these small areas that one should be aware of. We cannot really get into all the details, but dress is one of the dimension that is very important. Looks, like shave, we have been stressing upon. Similarly, haircut. Similarly, smile. One smile and your job is done. Smiling is very important. So, see, the moment I said smile, all of us are smiling here.
So that's how it is. The audience also.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Can I add one more?
Yeah.
Structure also, Shiva.
Sorry?
Structure.
Structure.
What do I mean by that? Of course, structure in terms of how one should behave in a particular way is there. But there is one more, which is if I have a shoe rack at the entrance of the house, I'm just giving an example, then automatically conveys that okay, you leave the footwear over here and enter.
Yes.
So the structure also gives you an idea because you were saying about mentoring yourself.
Yes.
So the mindset that you will have automatically would be to just leave your footwear and go inside. Similarly, a coat hanger. I'm just giving some example here, but there are many other things that come into place. For example, there may be different types of chairs in an auditorium, right? Where you fit in is again coming from grooming.
so again, summing up, I think we heard from both of you different aspects of grooming. We heard about um, how to maintain the balance in behavior, structure. How do you get yourself maintained and all that. From my point of view, I think grooming starts at home. So if I want to learn grooming, then I have personally made it a point to thank at home, if even if it's my someone I know very well, someone I'm in love with, someone I'm interacting day to day. Even if my wife serves me sambar, I say thank you. And sometimes when I interrupt my son, I say sorry. And my cook, when I have to tell him something, to make something extra, I said, is it okay for you to make something extra? When my cook leaves the home, I say thank you to him. And I say sorry to the maid because I have put some paper extra. And I think personal grooming, I also take care to see if I'm going to open the door for some delivery boy, I quickly if I put on a nice shirt, I say, hello, how are you? Is it raining? And I found in Madras, especially in Tamil Nadu, one magic word for people is, have you had food today? Right? The minute you say saptacha, his whole countenance changes. He says whole countenance changes and he says, saptacha or something, right? So there is some care. So I think personal grooming is about caring, right? And it starts from home. So you have a great arena to practice personal grooming, every one of you. So you can start from your house and see if you are following the rules that we outlined inside the home. And once you do that, it becomes part of your psyche. So in conclusion, I just want one word from one line from each of you, so we can close this session because we said about 45 minutes and.
So, I feel some of the areas that our students should look up or look
No,
at.
they're not only students; they're also professionals and all. What's your advice to them?
Yeah. One is be aware of where you are. Be aware of where you are, and also be aware of what you are doing. These are the two things about awareness. And be conscious of what the other people will be thinking of whatever you are doing. Be conscious of what the other people will be thinking about what you are doing. I think these three things, whether at home, whether in your professional workplace, these things should be important. Then there shouldn't be something that is too loud, too gaudy, too colorful. There shouldn't be any extra effort to what? That limelight seeking kind of an activity. It's better to be sober. It's it's better to give space to the world around you rather than give that elbow space, not elbow them away. And I think that's the way to grow as far as, especially in a profession, as far as profession is concerned. One aspect in any profession will be the competition. There, there is always a competition in everybody's life. There is always a competition, and we are supposed to be having that competitive spirit which is healthy. We should have a healthy competitive spirit and don't just feel bad about something that has gone wrong. Probably the other person who has pained you or caused harm or caused injury to you might be having some other issue which is not known to all of us. So give it to him or her and just learn to live with the world surrounding you happily.
Shiva, some final words for the.
A few words appear in my mind. We have not talked about it. Fairness, fairness for yourself and others, is also an important trait of a well-groomed person. Fairness, receiving, caring, and pleasing are some words that appear in my mind when you say personal grooming. Because these probably are not going to be one single day learning. It is going to be a continuous learning. We keep learning, correcting ourselves over and over so that we grow. That's what is grooming all about. Yes.
Very good. So thank you to the two of you for having made a very what I found from both of you was a very important sincerity. Sincerity is according to me the most powerful word to describe anyone, because sincerity comes from the heart. Sincerity comes from intention. Everything is contained in that one word. Am I sincere to what I'm saying? And I found both of you spoke from your heart. And so I'm only hoping that personal grooming will become part of all your lives. Like Jayakumar was saying, so I've called you three names already. I've called you Colonel Jai Kumar, I've called you Jayakumar, I've called you Colonel. Right? No. Just for fun. You see, So we're also saying, if you notice, there's also a nice camaraderie between us, right? We also sense of humor. Sense of humor is an absolutely important personal grooming. I mean, the ability to laugh at yourself, right? The ability to laugh. It's easy to laugh at someone, but can I laugh at myself in a situation which is, can I say, if I come late, for instance, you say, yes, I was just talking to the president of the US and therefore I got late. You know, just that spontaneous thing saying it's okay to laugh at myself. We discussed many things. We could go on and on. Like Jayakumar was saying, I think you should read a lot of books on personal grooming. There's lots and lots of books on personal grooming. We will recommend about 5 or 6 titles. Thank you, Shiva. It's been a very, very pleasant conversation in spite of hunger, right, right away.
You mentioned President. I'm itching to go for one statement, if I can make.
I also have a statement.
See,
Is it about sense of humor? No.
no.
Sense of humor.
This
Okay.
President, you said, see, we are told when we are under training in all academies that we have to learn to conduct ourselves. We have to learn to conduct ourselves in a manner that you fit in well working with a Mali in the morning, gardener. You should be capable of working with the Mali in the morning, gardener. You see the horizon that I am going to talk of. And also in the evening, have a banquet dinner with the bow tie with the president in the country. So the moment you said president, I remembered this. This is the kind of the width, the horizon that we have to look at in terms of knowing about how to behave and how to do all that we spoke.
Yes.
In the classroom, when a student is absent for one of the days and comes the next day and he is ready with the excuse, I tell them, please don't kill your grandma.
Excellent, excellent. No, but students have always been students. I think we were also like that, and anybody in the future will also be like that.
All right. So thank you. Hopefully, hopefully this session has been useful to all of you, and hopefully one day. I've always said this: when you learn something, are you going to teach it someday? So